शतकोटि प्रणाम,
कोटि प्रणाम, शतकोटि प्रणाम,
कोटि प्रणाम, शतकोटि प्रणाम,
कोटि प्रणाम, शतकोटि प्रणाम।
हे दीननाथ साईराम,
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 हे दीननाथ साईराम।
तुम हो भक्तों के युगावतार,
हो भक्तों के युगावतार,
तुम हो भक्तों के युगावतार,
हो भक्तों के युगावतार।
तुम हो नंदा नंद के लाल,
तुम हो नंदा नंद के लाल,
तुम हो नंदा नंद के लाल,
तुम हो नंदा नंद के लाल।
परतीपुरी के साई गोपाल,
परतीपुरी के साई गोपाल,
परतीपुरी के साई गोपाल,
परतीपुरी के साई गोपाल।
हे दीननाथ साईराम,
हे दीननाथ साईराम,
हे दीननाथ साईराम,
हे दीननाथ साईराम,
हे
हे
दीननाथ साईराम,
दीननाथ साईराम,
हे दीननाथ साईराम, कोटि प्रणाम, शतकोटि प्रणाम,
शतकोटि प्रणाम।
हे दीननाथ साईराम,
हे दीननाथ साईराम,
हे दीननाथ साईराम,
हे दीननाथ साईराम,
Om Sri Sai Ram. Offering our collective pranams to Sadguru Sri Madhusudan Sai, elders, sisters and brothers, Sai Ram, and good evening. Welcome to the day 9 of the Navaratri Homa, Atirudra Mahayagna, and Durga Puja celebrations here at Sri Sathya Sai Grama. We will begin today's proceedings with Vedic invocation by the Vedic boys from the university, and they shall be chanting the Rudra Suktam.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Trambakay Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityo Mukshi Yamamritat Kadrudraya Prachetase Melustamaya Tavyase Voce Mashantamam Hrude Yatha no Aditih Karat Pashvenrubhyo Yatha Gave Yatha Tokaya Rudriyam Yatha no Mitro Varno Yatha Rudrashike Tati Yatha Vishwe Sajoshasaha Ghathapatim Medhapatim Rudranjalashabheshajam Tachayyo Sumnami Mahe Yashukra iva Suryo Hiranyami Varochate Shrestho Devanam Vasuhu Shannah Karattarvate Sugam Meshaya Meshye Ribhyo naribhyo gave Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Sai Ishwararpanamastu.
Today, the Divine Mother is worshipped as Devi Siddhidatri, the giver of spiritual powers and faculties. She sits on a lotus radiating divine grace and is surrounded by gods and sages. This form of the Mother bestows knowledge, wisdom, and perfection, enabling us to attain spiritual fulfillment and ultimate liberation. We will now have a video on Devi Siddhidatri.
On the sacred and most auspicious ninth day of Navaratri, we bow in reverence to Ma Siddhidatri, the gracious Mother who bestows every spiritual and material perfection. Her very name, Siddhidatri, means the giver of siddhis, those divine powers and accomplishments that uplift the soul toward its ultimate fulfillment. The scriptures tell us that in the very beginning, when the universe was still unformed and formless, the Supreme Divine manifested as Siddhidatri. With her blessings, she empowered the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, with the strength to create, preserve, and transform the worlds. To all who worship her with pure devotion, she grants the 8 great siddhis, each a step that leads a seeker closer to realization and liberation. In her radiant form, Ma Siddhidatri is envisioned seated upon a blooming lotus, the symbol of purity and divine awakening. Sometimes she is depicted riding the lion, embodying courage and majesty. In her 4 hands, she holds the chakra of eternal time, the conch of sacred sound, the lotus of purity, and the mace of divine authority. Her face glows with infinite compassion, assuring us that the spiritual journey we began on the first day of Navaratri now finds its blessed completion in her embrace. Worshipping Ma Siddhidatri awakens the Sahasrara Chakra, the 1,000-petaled crown at the top of our being, where the individual soul merges with the infinite consciousness. In her grace, we discover wholeness, fulfillment, and the eternal truth that the same Devi who pervades the vast cosmos also dwells within our own heart. And so, with folded hands and surrendered hearts, we pray. O Ma Siddhidatri, giver of all siddhis, guide us to the highest wisdom. Bless us with strength, success, and the joy of union with the divine. May our hearts remain forever anchored in your love.
This morning, the Shiva Panchakshari Homa, the Saptadravya Mrityunjaya Homa were performed. With the chanting of Om Namah Shivaya, Purohits offered Ahuti invoking Lord Shiva's grace. The Mrityunjaya Homa, performed with 7 sacred ingredients, is one of the most potent Vedic rituals for longevity and protection. Ekalingato Bhadra Mandala was drawn to invoke blessings of Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati. These rituals protect us against untimely death, cure ailments, promote long life, and ward off evil influences while filling life with strength and divine grace. As part of Durga Puja, Kumari Puja was performed to venerate young girls as manifestations of the Divine Mother's innocence and purity. Sandhi Puja was also performed at the junction of Ashtami and the beginning of the Navami Tithi by offering 108 lotuses and lighting 108 lamps. Rudra Homa concluded with Purnahuti, followed by the Astavadhana Seva, Chaturveda Parayanam, rendition of the Stotram, Sangeetam, Nadaswaram, and Panchavadyam. This morning, Sri Abhinava Shivalingeshwara Rudramuni Shivacharya Swamiji from the Sri Navali Hiremat attended the proceedings. In his talk, he highlighted the vision behind the Bhu Kailasa, tracing it back to the dream of Vidyaranya of Vijayanagara Empire. He said, if one has to see Bhu Kailasa, it's here at Sathya Sai Grama, created by Sadguru. In today's world, where true spiritual practice has become rare, here in the presence of Sadguru, it becomes possible to imbibe and live these ancient truths. In his address, Sadguru explained that the Mrityunjaya mantra grants moksha from the fear of death and not from death itself. He emphasized that fear arises from wrong understanding that death is only a transition and life is eternal. Shiva represents auspiciousness, and the mantra Namah Shivaya signifies that Shiva alone is true. When God grants Abhaya, it enables individuals to realize this truth that Shiva alone exists and transcends all fears. After Aarti, Sadguru proceeded to the Uma Maheshwara temple, where Palahadivasam was performed as part of the Pratisthapana Puja, followed by puja to the Utsava Murtis of the temple. Thereafter, Purnahuti of the Chandi and Gayatri Homas took place. In his discourse, Sadguru said that Goddess Gayatri is the mother of all Vedas and the source of all divine knowledge. Hence, it is necessary that the Veda Gurukulam has a divine presence of Goddess Gayatri that's installed. He also shared that the Utsava Murtis have been crafted according to the first divine vision of the deities that he had. He explained that this temple has been divinely ordained and is not by mere human effort. He assured that this temple will stand for thousands of years, blessing devotees with the grace of the gods. And this evening, we are delighted to present the CSR Circle of Honor to two of our partners. First, we have Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, BPCL, India's second largest public sector oil marketing company and a Fortune 500 integrated energy enterprise that has established a strong presence across the entire energy value chain, with a refining capacity of 35.3 million metric tons per annum, spanning Mumbai, Kochi, and Bina, a nationwide marketing network of 23,500 fuel stations, 6,200 LPG distributors. BPCL plays a pivotal role in ensuring India's energy security. BPCL believes that its responsibility extends beyond business. It is dedicated to building a sustainable future through innovative practices, meaningful community engagement, and unwavering support for causes that truly matter. BPCL has supported Sri Madhusudan Sai Institute of Medical Sciences and Research through life-saving equipment such as ventilators, patient monitors at the Sarla Memorial Hospital. They have also supported Sai Sanjeevani Group of Hospitals at Kondapaka, Palwal, and Navi Mumbai for the establishment of operation theaters, cath labs, and pediatric cardiac surgeries. Representing BPCL, Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, is Ms. Aparna Pandey, distinguished CSR strategist and a committed social work professional. We now invite Ms. Aparna Pandey to receive the honor. With remarkable expertise, Ms. Pandey has successfully strategized and implemented government-aligned projects under the aegis of the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, Niti Aayog, and the Department of Public Enterprises. We now request Ms. Pandey to share a few words.
Pranams and abundant gratitude to our most beloved Swami. Good evening to the trustee members, the senior management team of the hospitals and the schools running under this humongous mission of Sri Madhusudan Sai Global Humanitarian Mission, a loving Sairams to all. Today I'm most humbled and grateful to accept this award. I do not know whether do I deserve this. I fail and I'm short of words of how to explain my feelings right now. This recognition is not merely for BPCL, but for the countless hands and hearts that have come together in the spirit of service. In the field of CSR, we often measure our work through budgets, numbers, presentations, and reports. Yet, when I deeply reflect, I realize that the true measure, or the true impact, so to say, we create is in the form of the lives we touch, the dignity that we restore, and the hope that we instill. Behind every statistics, there lies a story, a family, a human spirit that deserves care and compassion. I wish to express my heartfelt thanks to our revered Swami for rendering us this opportunity to serve and partner with such a visionary organization. It is very safe to say that BPCL has partnered with more than 500 social service organizations and impacted millions and millions of beneficiaries with the tentative budget of around 1,500 crore over the years. From 2014, since the company's law mandated CSR in India. But when I come here, I see no other organization like this who is so professional yet so committed with the cause that we do. So kudos to the team who's doing this exceptional job. Swami, you have always reminded us that service, when guided by spirituality, becomes something far greater. It becomes seva, an offering to the divine. When compassion meets purpose, change becomes not only possible but inevitable. We resonate with the mission so much so that this year at BPCL, we are celebrating our 50th year, that is the Golden Jubilee celebration of BPCL. And we celebrate this occasion not by anything, but through supporting the children and their pediatric heart surgeries. This is one announcement which I wanted to make. Swami, we offer that in your lotus feet. Swami's blessings and this recognition strengthens our resolve to continue serving with sincerity, integrity, and dedication towards nation building and Vikasit Bharat. With deep gratitude, I seek Swami's Margdarshana in the times to unfold so we can co-create, rather contribute to the inclusive and more equitable world which shall truly echo the spirit of one world, one family. Thank you so much, Swami, once again, and thank you so much, Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Ms. Aparna Pandey. Our second partner to be conferred the CSR Circle of Honor is the poem, The Palace of Extraordinary Miracles Foundation, which aligned with UN Sustainable Development Goals, advances global flourishing through education, leadership, well-being, child nutrition, positively impacting over 200 million lives with compassion, dignity, sustainability, and systemic change. With a global reach of 200 million lives, the foundation empowers individuals and communities through leadership programs, immersive learning, dignity forums, and large-scale nutrition efforts. The foundation has supported rural students in Karnataka, providing them with quality education, skill development, and holistic growth opportunities. Representing the company this evening is Ms. Meenu Mariel, founder of the PERM Foundation and the World Dignity Forum. May we invite Ms. Meenu Mariel to receive the honor, please. Meenu Mariel is a visionary leader, author, and mentor. She empowers global change through her works in spirituality, sustainability, leadership, and women's empowerment, inspiring generations to create meaningful social impact. We now request Ms. Meenu to share a few words.
You know, I'm a founder of the Palace of Extraordinary Miracles, and we are all present in one. This is the Palace of Extraordinary Miracles. My first interaction with Sathya Sai Baba was 35 years ago. And I remember in that small audience of 5 of us, there was me, a young mother with my 18-month-old child, and there was an electricity, there was a vibration, that was the first connection I felt to what a vibration of miracles would be. And there was something within me that really opened up at that time, which was about, it's time to create, it is about creating a flourishing world where all aspects of life coexist, we become collaborators and co-creators. So at a time where uncertainty is certain, unknown is the known, take nothing for granted is the modus operandi. And it is about you, with your contemporary leadership of this age, you have actually anchored the foundation of thriving and flourishing across all aspects of life, not just surviving. You've literally lifted us up to a whole new level altogether. And I'm deeply grateful. It's my blessing to receive this recognition. and you have my full support. We are in an amazing age. It's the age of brilliance. It is the time for each one of us to shine in our brilliance. And I see you as a contemporary leader of this age. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Meenu Marial. I now pray to Sadhguru for his divine message on this auspicious evening.
On this auspicious day when we have the Ashtami turning into Navami, and that's called Sandhi Kala, which is a very poignant, very powerful moment during the worship of Navaratri. I beseech the blessings of Mother Goddess Siddhidatri, the giver of abilities, siddhis, not powers. Many people think siddhi means some power, but it's ability, because we sometimes do not know our own potential. It needs somebody else to tell us who we are. And that is what Siddhidatri does. She brings out what is inside us and makes it visible to us, which we can't see for ourselves. So Siddhidatri gives us that ability to be able to realize our potential, that we are divine, and realize that divinity within and without. That's the real purpose of Siddhidatri. This occasion of Navaratri, which is seeing people from so many countries participating in these rituals. Some are physically here, some are virtually watching the programs. I get messages from around the world that they are all so very blessed. They feel so blessed, even if they're able to see it on their computers or laptops or on their phones because of the webcasting that happens from here. Many people wake up quite early or stay up late because just they want to watch it live. In their own countries, because of the time gaps and time lags, they cannot wake up at the same time as us. But many people wake up quite early to be a part of the celebrations, and many people stay up late in the night to continue watching the celebrations. That is the kind of interest and enthusiasm that this festival has created around the world. Long back when Bhagwan had come here in 2009, he told that in a few years, this whole world will become Hindu. That is what he exactly said. And Hindu is not about being the followers of a particular religion which comes with its do's and don'ts. He always defined Hindu as an idea, as a personality who embodies certain virtues. He said H stands for humility. Sometimes he has said it stands for humanity. But that is what H is of Hindu. The first thing is about being humble and being human, being kind to each other, being nice to each other, being considerate to each other is the first aspect. And I, he says, individuality, your individual identity of being someone belonging to a certain tradition, certain way of life, and must keep up that kind of life because of the influence of all kinds of ideas, especially in these modern times when it's sometimes fashionable to say that you are spiritual but not religious, whatever that means. But that is what people go on quoting. They don't want to believe in any God whatsoever, but they somehow believe that they are nevertheless going to be spiritual people. And that's not possible because God is the source of all spirituality. Whichever way you worship Him, with a form or without a form, it's up to them. But that is the idea, that identity of your individualness, which comes from a certain background, which belongs to certain roots, that is the idea of I. And N, he says, he did not leave nation behind, he says nationality. He thinks that we must be responsible to keep up the culture and tradition of our nation. Because Bharata, as he always defined, was a country where people who revel in God and godly things live together. భగవంతుడులో రతించే వాళ్ళే భారతీయులు. Only those who really revel in the idea of God, they alone are Bharatiyas. There is nobody else. We may call ourselves Bharatiyas because we are born in this land, we have an identity card, we have a birth certificate or an Aadhaar card and things like that, but that does not qualify us to be true Indians, true Bharatiyas. He always mentioned that it should be about having this idea of India, which is the idea of God-loving people. We always believed that God, the Supreme Most, existed here, and we had no problems. We believed that He could be Saguna Sakara or could be Nirguna Nirakara. Both are okay. It is not a conflict in India. We can worship both the form and the formless because we believe that everything ultimately has come from the same source. And like energy turns into matter and matter into energy, likewise the formless takes a form or form goes back into the formless. So we never looked at idols or whatever, the stones like a lingam we worship, or the photos of gods and deities, or even the mountains and rivers and trees that we worship, the cows and so many other beings. We considered them all as reflections of the divine. Today Kumari Puja was being done. That's a ritual as part of the Bengali tradition where the girls, young girls are worshipped as the embodiments of the Mother Divine. And that idea is so beautiful in our country. No other country talks about it like this. And of course sometimes people who do not understand, they may look at it differently and even ridicule it. But as people belonging to this country, it is our utmost responsibility to live up to this great blessing of being born in this country of Bharata. And that is why he included that. D, of course, he says is divinity, because at the end it all leads to this realization that we are all divine. We are not some different from each other. We are all divine. Ishavasyamidam sarvam yatkinchat jagatyam jagata. Not just Indians are divine. Just because we are born in India, we don't believe just Indians. Everybody is divine. Everything is divine. Not just everybody, everything is divine. That is why we have no problem in worshipping everybody. When we think of any god, like they say, Kankar mein Shankar. In every stone there is this Lord that resides. That is what is Isha Vasyamidam Sarvam. And what does this Upanishad say? Yat kinchat jagatyam jagat. Whatever you see, the moving, the unmoving, everything, animate, inanimate, everything is divine, it says. And so how do we live in this world? Tena tyaktena bunjitha magudha kasya sviddhanam, it says. Therefore, live with a sense of sacrifice. Consume with sacrifice. Rather it says sacrifice and then consume. Tena tyaktena bunjitha. Tyaktena, sacrifice, give up things and then only consume. And more importantly, magudha kasya sviddhanam. Do not take another person's wealth. Do not steal. But it's very deep. It's not about just being morally right and not stealing things from others. It's about understanding that whatever we don't need, it belongs to somebody else whose need is greater than ours. Even though we have earned it righteously by the sweat of our brow or with our talent and individual efforts, yet, even though it is in our custody rightfully, still it belongs to somebody whose need is greater than ours. That is why the idea of charity was central to Indian way of life. Dana. That was very, very core to Indian philosophy. Everybody from the morning till the night, they performed whatever they did for the sake of greater good of all, not for their individual sake. Individual good happened when the greater good happened. And that was the idea with which Bharatiyas or whoever believes in Bharatiya culture should live. Tyaktena bunjita, sacrifice for everybody's sake. And do not take or hoard more than your need. Anything that is more than your need belongs to somebody whose need is greater than yours. That is the beauty. And one day somebody asked, an interview, TV interview, he told me, so where should we draw the line? You know, how much should we hoard? How much should we desire for? How much should we keep for ourselves? And I reminded him of a small doha, maybe Kabir Das ji's doha, which says, Sai itna dijiye, jame kutum samaye, main bhi bhukha na rahun, sadhu na bhukha jaye. Give me only so much, O Lord, in which my family can live comfortably. I should not stay hungry, Nor should any good person, a guest who comes to my home, should go hungry. If I have that much, I am contented. That idea itself is so amazing. Not desiring for more than that. That is all the idea of, because you believe everybody is divine, naturally your heart goes out to everyone, because in every person there is divine residing. So whoever is hungry, divine is hungry. Who is sick, divine is sick. Whoever is unsheltered, divine is unsheltered. That idea propelled Indians to do good to each other. How beautiful. And of course, U stands for unity. Unity not just the outside, unity of the inside. Unity of your thought, word and actions. Manasekam, vachasekam, karmanyekam, mahatmanaha. The integrity of thought, word and action. That is very important, because many times we think, like in Indian culture, if it says everybody is divine, that we are thinking that way, we're speaking that way, but we are not doing that way. We treat each other as greater and lesser beings, richer and poorer beings, educated, uneducated, or of a certain class or not of a certain class. So many ways we discriminate and differentiate between ourselves, but divine understanding of our culture does not allow that. It says very clearly that yes, we have been created differently, we have different aptitudes and abilities, and we should deliver our duties, discharge our duties according to them. No conflict over there. Krishna says, Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam, gunakarma vibhagashaha. I have classified people into different categories, 4 to be precise, but based on their aptitudes, their inner nature. Some are born to be musicians, they can't be another way. We respect them for that. Some are born to be warriors, they cannot be another way. We respect them for that too. Some are intellectuals, some are laborers. Everybody is born differently and they have different abilities, but like the limbs of the body, all these limbs function together in harmony to make the body work. That is the idea of the society, that though every category of person in the society is different and does things differently, yet all of them are limbs of the same conscious, divine consciousness. So the same divine operates through all that broad-mindedness. Even here, Lalita Sahasranam says, Ah Brahma Kita Janani Varnashrama Vidhayini. She is the one who created these classes of people. But all belong to her, because she is the mother of the Brahma Kita Janani, from the Brahma, the creator of the universe, to the Kita, the insect. She alone is the mother of all. So how can a mother differentiate between an insect and the so-called the deity? All belong to her, all are born of her. So we are born differently, like from the same womb, 4 brothers born behave differently. Children are different in their aptitudes. Likewise, we are all different in our aptitudes, but we belong to the same divine mother. That is why Navaratri is important, because this reminds us that there is only one divine mother to all of us. Yes, physical mothers are there, but they are also the children of the same divine mother at the end of it. So that unites us all and does not divide us at all. Our rituals are created that way. This, I am told, that the goddess's idol that comes from a village in Kumartoli, it comes from the sections of the society who live there, who are otherwise looked down upon. But with all their efforts, only the idol is prepared. It's not prepared by the high priest class. And it is the rule that their lands, whatever the earth, soil, clay from their land should be used to build the mother's idol. So she has no problem from where she gets her form. She is okay with that. We as human beings, because we are not being true Hindus, we have ended up in these kind of discriminations and differences. Otherwise, we were okay with everything. That is the idea. Such great culture. Bhagavan was so very vocal about the idea that it's not about belonging to a certain religion or certain caste or certain community. It is about living these virtues which are embedded in the very idea of Hindu. And that is why he said, when the whole world will become Hindu, many of these Hindus jumped up and down, the so-called Hindus. Oh, so everybody will become Hindu, everybody will say Jai Shri Ram, everybody will chant Om Namah Shivaya, everybody will wear whatever Hindu way of life, things like that. But I did not understand it like that. I understood it as that, yes, they would definitely develop a lot of respect, lot of affinity and may even follow most of the Hindu way of life, most of the Bharatiya way of life. But deep down, the real Hindu that will happen to the world is this idea of what I mentioned just now, Hindu. That is how they will become real Hindus. And that is the idea of these rituals that can unite people. India has never stood for divisions. It always stood for unity. Because it saw the same divinity in everything, in everyone. And though we as the modern societies look at things differently, everything is measured in money, all success or respect in the society is given to those who have done well materially. Unfortunately, that wrong philosophy is pushed down the throat of the children, saying more marks means better jobs means more money means more respect. But India never lived like that. We never had money, first of all. We had barter system, as many children might have read or not read, then they should read. That we did not respect people because of the wealth they hoarded. We respected them for the contributions they made to the society. A farmer contributing by cultivating the land and providing food was respected. A priest conducting the rituals and worship properly and maintaining the temple's sanctity and rituals, he was respected for that. So also a potter, a weaver, a goldsmith or an ironsmith, so also the king and the governors, the administrators and the warriors for what they did for the society. So also those who just labored under the sun for the sake of making this entire societal machinery work, because that is all they knew, they understood. It worked like that. Nobody was looked down upon because same mother goddess, same divinity resides in all. That was very clear. But because of these ulterior agendas which were more political than spiritual, these divisions were created. Men were treated differently, women and men, patriarchal societies, then women were given a second-hand treatment. So also certain classes were treated in a lower way. All these happened in the recent times. Now, people may say whatever they say, but if you simply go by the scriptures, go to the Upanishads, go to Bhagavad Gita, go to the Veda, why? Go to Purusha Suktam. It straightway says, Brahmanasya mukhamasid bahu rajanya kritaha uru tadas yadvaishyaha padbhyam kshudro ajayata. All classes have come out of the same body of that great Purusha. Purusha means, Pura means a place. Shaya means the one who resides. The one who resides in this body is called Purusha. That Purusha has many limbs with which he works. The face is the intellectual class of people. The arms are the warrior clan. The stomach is the businessman, the tradesman. And the feet are the laborers. All of them are a part of it. Tell me who is willing to sacrifice their feet saying, this is a lower thing, it's right at the bottom, I don't need it. Nobody. Because they know that is also us. Yes, we do a lot of makeup to our face because that is how we identify ourselves. People identify us fine. But nobody is going to cut their feet off because that doesn't look beautiful like the face. No, we need them to walk. We do need them. So that respect was there. Nobody treated it badly. I believe that the real Hindu that Bhagavan envisaged and proclaimed is about following these great values, that believing that everything is divine, living with that humaneness in everyday life, with humility, because in everybody there is divinity. Namaste, we say with humility. With the idea that we are a nation that stood for these timeless virtues from time immemorial. And we must keep up these traditions, these ideas, these virtues through our conduct. The idea that everything is divine. And therefore to remain united and not divide ourselves on these lines of caste, creed and classes. So that is the idea of the real thing. I am mentioning it because somebody asked me that what do you mean by this? So I thought I would explain before it goes out of control and things are interpreted in their own way. But yes, throughout the world, I'm seeing people are taking so much interest to learn because this is truth. And truth does not belong to any religion. Truth does not belong to any one country or a person. It is universal. And the truth is we are all divine. It is a universal thing. How can you say it is my personal patented truth? No, it doesn't happen like that. That's why the rishis never patented their works. They let it out in open for everyone to benefit from. They said truth is that you are all divine. We are all divine. Period. And it's available to all. But it takes courage to speak the truth. And that courage our rishis had. They went out in the open and declared, Shunvantu Vishwe Amrutasya Putra. O children of immortality, listen up to these truths. And then they declared, Isha Vasya Vidam Sarvam, Yatkinchat Jagatyam Jagat. Everything is divine. Purnamadaha, Purnamidam. Great ideas. And our temples were the disseminators of this wonderful knowledge. And those who say that people were not given equal opportunities, they're all fooling us. These are all narratives which came up in the last 2-3 centuries. Before that, I keep mentioning this often, of a great historian by name Dharampal. His book, The Beautiful Tree, talks about a survey that was conducted in 18th century in Madras Presidency. There were more than 1 lakh schools in Madras Presidency alone. And 65% to 70% children who were studying, they were coming from the so-called the lower classes of the society. Half of the class was them. So how do you say that they were not given opportunities to participate in education or in allowed to come up in life? No, they were all allowed. It is the influence or whatever, the vested interests of the colonial forces. They saw this country is prospering because everybody treats everybody so well. Now, divide and rule is the only way we can control this country. And that is how division started. And still they remain deep in our psyche because that was the most recent experience that everybody underwent. So if you go back maybe 100 years, to maybe a few hundred years or thousands of years, they were all treated. As I said, everybody's hand has a different function than the feet. You can't replace hand with feet and feet with hand. Start walking on your hands. That doesn't work. Feet has its own role and that has to be respected. It can only do so much. Feet can only walk. It can't think. It can't eat. Stomach can do that. Head can think. So each has its role. But everybody is important. Idea is that everybody is important because everybody is born of the same divine principle and all are limbs of the same body of the divine. That idea is the most important idea. I think that idea is the most redeeming one. And I feel that so many people are getting interested in these rituals from around the world, not because this is something very fascinating, something that doesn't exist in their country, so they are fascinated by these procedures. No, I think that is not the real reason. The real reason is because that truth that is being spoken, it is resonating with something inside them. Probably they also cannot put the finger and say there that this is the reason why we are interested in this. But the deep down, the reason for them getting associated with these rituals is because that truth, that divine which is within, it is connecting now to this truth that is being spoken and this divinity that is being felt. Like a piece of iron starts behaving like a magnet. It doesn't know that it is a magnet, but it is a potential magnet. Its ability to be the magnet is latent in the piece of iron. It does not know, but the moment it comes in touch of a magnet, even in the vicinity of the magnet, suddenly it starts behaving and it is surprised. What is happening to me? Why am I behaving differently? It's because it's come in the presence of a magnet and it's a potential magnet. That is what Siddhidatri I meant. That the latent divine principle in all the beings around the world, whichever God you follow, whichever religions, custom, traditions, philosophies, doesn't matter. The divinity is the same. That is why when that you come across a divine function like this, in the presence of divine people, even you don't agree with it, let us say on the surface, deep inside that divinity gets sparked. And that starts responding to this amazing call of realizing the divine. And without your knowledge, involuntarily, almost inadvertently, you start responding to it. And that is how you starting to get connected. And that is why this is going to attract this Indian thought will attract the world to itself, because as we see, the world is so broken and divided, and there are so many questions without answers out there. But Indian thought has answers to everyone. One answer is enough. And the answer is that Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Everything is permeated by the same divine principle. That is the answer to all the problems in the world. One simple answer. And truth is always simple. So that is the idea, though it's spoken in so many scriptures, Vipraha Bahuda Vadanti, so many ways. Upanishads say it one way, the Vedas say, Agamas will say another way. But it is being spoken more or less in different measures. But truth is being spoken. So that is the idea. Let us believe in that truth and let us behave according to that truth. These two things, if we get right, the truth will become ours. We will become the truth. And then there won't be any differences and conflicts. I'm sure that is the message of Hindu that Bhagavan wanted to convey, that I want to convey, that the scriptures want to convey. And I always tell, Hindu word came much later. It was not even existent. We did not have a name or a phrase for who we were. We were just people who were Bharatiyas who lived on this side of the Himalayas, which is how we were known. But because of the Persian influence, who cannot say Sindhu, they use her for sa, so they call it Hindu. And that is how we slowly started getting categorized as people who are Hindus. And then all these things started. I was in Croatia, they were telling that it's called Hrvatska. But that is because they can't say sa, so they use ha, the same Persian issue. And they say they were people of the Saraswati Valley civilization. The Saraswati is a Haravati, they call it there. They call themselves as people who belong to this, their language is called, or their community is called Haravati. Their Haravati is, the Ha is coming from that same Hindu. But they were Saraswati who became Harahvati, and now Harahati or whatever they call it. So that is the idea. This word Hindu was coined much later, and then it's creating all the confusion. But Bhagavan simplified it, saying that forget about God and rituals and scriptures and customs. First you become a true Hindu by following these virtues. If you follow these virtues, you are a Hindu. If you're not following, even if you do all the rituals, you are not a Hindu according to him. So I thought I will just emphasize on that, because so many people from around the world are participating. Some people say, oh, we were not born in India, we are so unfortunate, we are not Hindus, we are unfortunate. People feel like that. But I want to tell them, no, you can be a Hindu being whatever else you are. By following the basic tenets of Sanatana Dharma, by following these virtues in your daily life, you will still be a Hindu even if you're in America or Australia or Europe or Africa or anywhere. You can still be a part of this whole thing, because this is such an open culture, this such an all-embracing phenomenon, this Sanatana Dharma. And that is why I feel that this is the only refuge, this is the only solution to all the issues in the world. I would also like to thank two of our CSR partners who have helped us in our journey. And as I say, this is something that cannot be done individually by one person or one organization. We need everybody in it. We need to collaborate, co-create, co-envision the future together. And I think BPCL has been a pillar of support from a very, very long time. We have set up many operation theaters, cath labs, have donated several medical equipments of critical importance across our hospitals. Wherever we started something, we wrote to them. They were always there to help. And today, through Aparna, we have acknowledged and honored the contributions of BPCL. So please convey to everybody at your office, and we wish you the very best for your 50th Golden Jubilee celebrations. And also to the Poem Foundation and Ms. Meenu, who stands for dignity. She told me that she has created a forum called World Dignity Forum, because a lot of people do not have dignity of life. People are not treated equal. So she tries to bring people from such marginalized sections, women especially from developing countries, put them on the same forum and expose them to the world and expose the world to them. That is one thing on the side. Of course, Poem Foundation by itself is doing a lot of work in organizing a lot of social activities and helping people in marginalized communities across the world. So that is her passion. So we are thankful to her as well for doing this with us. And as I said, it is a partnership that makes all these things happen. And we are partnering with none other than the Divine Himself, who has envisioned, who has directed, who has designed, and who is getting all the things executed. So that is the difference. When Aparna says why this organization is nicer, because it is divine. Other organizations are at best driven by superhumans, but this organization is driven by the divine. So obviously there has to be a difference, isn't it? That is why this organization is special. So thank you everybody. We'll have a short break, after which we will be meeting again to listen to one of the finest Hindustani singers of the country. He has spent all his life in this Sangeeta Sadhana, and this is one point of the year, the highlight that I look forward to. Having Pandit Venkatesh Kumarji here with us and listen to him sing. And this is one rendition you will clearly see how the singer, the song and the singing, everything becomes one. The Jnanam, the Jneyam and the Jnata. We read in Ashtavakra Gita. You remember? I've forgotten all this. Jnanam, Jneyam, Tatha Jnata, Titayam Nasti Vastavam, Ajnanat Bhati Yatridam, Sohamasmi Niranjanaha. It says this idea of the doer, the doing and the done, they are different is only for the Ajnanis who do not realize the truth. But for the Jnani who has become one with the truth, everything becomes the seeker, the sought and the process of seeking, everything becomes one. Like that the singer, the song and singing, all three become one in Pandit Venkatesh Kumarji. You will get to see that one glimpse of what Ashtavakra is telling, how these three become one. So looking forward to the evening program. I'll come back after a break.